So we will get started today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and welcome to Gale Business Entrepreneurship. I'm Emily, and I'm a librarian at the Plano Public Library, and I will be presenting today's program. I'm joined by Nikki, who will be moderating our chat. Before we begin, we do need to let you know about some ground rules that we have set up for today's program. First, you will be muted during this class, and we have your video blocked. You will only see the instructor's screen. At the top of the screen, you can find the Exit Full Screen button. You are able to click this button if you need to get to other things on your computer. You are welcome to ask questions or request that the instructor repeat information at any time during today's program. You should see an icon at the bottom of your screen that says Chat. Click on that button to open the chat window and enter your question or comment. Chat is set to only be seen by library staff. If you prefer, you may also use the Q&A feature located at the bottom of the screen to ask questions. Please note that any inappropriate questions or comments will be the cause of your immediate removal from today's class. For all questions, we may answer them directly in the chat or Q&A box, hold the question until a break or the end of the class, or answer the question at the time if it is more pressing. We will be using the instructor screen to demonstrate and may share additional resources in the chat as well. A recording of today's program will be available in a few days on the library's YouTube channel. So if you would like to watch today's program and practice with the recording later, that is an option. And with that and those ground rules out of the way, let's get started. Now, I do have one other quick disclaimer before I begin, and that is that the instructors teaching this class are not business experts. We are library staff. The purpose of today's program is to give general information about library resources and to provide an overview of the Gale Entrepreneurship of the Gale Business database and how it can be used to support those with business ventures. For business expertise, please connect with a Dallas Score mentor. Mentors are available each week at the Schimmelfinnig and Parr libraries for a free consultation. For more information and to register for a consultation with a Dallas Score mentor, please visit planolibrary.org or score.org/Dallas. On the screen, you will see our agenda for today's class. Today, we will be providing an overview of the Gale Business Entrepreneurship Database, including database features and a demonstration. This database is available to all Plano Public Library cardholders for free through the library's TextShare database subscription. If you are not a Plano Public Library cardholder, please check with your local library to learn more about database availability and access. So, what is Gale Business Entrepreneurship? Gale Business Entrepreneurship is a comprehensive database covering all aspects of starting, financing, and managing a small business, including accounting, finances and taxes, human resources, management, and marketing. In this database, you will find hundreds of examples of different business plans for all different types of businesses and in all industries, how-to guides, articles from small business journals, and more. The database is organized into 4 feature categories: Start, Plan, Fund, and Manage. We will now discuss each of these categories more in depth. The Plan feature is focused on business plan research and other information to help you get started with your business. Topics in this category include budgeting, business ideas, business plans, market research, and marketing. The Start feature is focused on information related to business types and structures within the United States. Topics in this category include trending small businesses, entrepreneurs, home-based businesses, franchises, business certifications, business structures, legal entities, and networking. The fund feature is focused on exploring different types of funding sources for small businesses. Topics in this category include angel investors, venture capital, government funding options, loans and grants, and self-funding. And finally, the Manage feature is focused on helping to maintain and grow small businesses once your business is up and operating. Topics in this category include financing, expanding your business, business management, selling strategies, and business technology. To access Gale Business Entrepreneurship, you'll need to follow these steps. First, you'll need to go to planolibrary.org and select Research and Learn. Once you're on the Research and Learn page, you'll need to select Business and navigate down to Entrepreneurship-Gale Business on the list of databases. Once you find that name, you will need to click Access Now, and you will be taken to the database. You do need to have an active Plano Public Library card to access this database through the Plano Public Library. If you are trying to access this database from home, you will need to enter your Plano Public Library card number as well as your PIN. If you are at one of the library locations, you will not need to enter this information. And I will pause here for a moment and ask if there are any questions. All right.
Right now, we don't have any questions in the chat.
Thank you very much, Nikki. Okay, so if there are no questions at this point, we are ready for our database demonstration. So I'm going to take a moment here to navigate to a different screen. All right, can everyone see that we are on the Plano Library website?
Yes, we can see that.
Thank you so much. All right, so we will go through the steps that I just described to access this database through the Plano Public Library. So as I mentioned, in order to access this database, you will need to go to first the Plano Public Library website by typing in planolibrary.org. And once you are there on the library's page, you have a couple options to get to our Research and Learn page, which is where you will find all of the databases provided by the Plano Public Library. The first option is under the Library tab at the top, and just navigate over to the Research and Learn area under Learn and click on that button. You can also choose to, under the popular search field here, click on the Research/Learn tab, and that will take you to the same place. Once we are on the Research and Learn page, you'll be presented with all the databases available through the Plano Public Library system. The easiest way to navigate to the Gale Business Entrepreneurship database is to go over to the databases by topic area and click on Business. Once you click on Business, you will see all the different business-related databases provided by the Plano Public Library system. These are alphabetically listed for your ease of access. Now, we're going to go and find under E, the Entrepreneurship database. Now, there are two entrepreneurship databases listed here. There is the Gale Business Entrepreneurship database, as well as the Gale OneFile Entrepreneurship database. The one we are discussing today is this first one here, the Entrepreneurship-Gale Business database. Once you find the database, click on Access Now, and we will be taken there. Again, if you are accessing the database from home, it is at this point that you will be presented with a box to log in using your Plano Public Library card number as well as PIN. Once we are on the homepage for the Gale Business Entrepreneurship Database, you'll notice quite a few things. First, you have your search box up here, which provides a general keyword search. There's also a button here where you can click to do a more advanced search. And this is great if you want to specify your search more and search more than just by keywords. So you can search by abstracts, authors, within the titles, so on and so forth. So that's great if you're looking for something very specific, but most will find it easy enough and useful enough to just use the simple keyword search presented on the home screen. If we scroll down here, you'll see a few different, sorry, hide this box. You'll see a few different things here. So we have our topics of interest, which is this carousel that gives us some of the trending topics related to businesses and entrepreneurs. And then up here at the top, you'll see that we have a button to go to a glossary, which will take you to all the different terms, acronyms, and anything used within this database. This is a great tool if you see a term or acronym used that you're not familiar with and you want to learn more about what that actually means. You can also see browse topics here. And if we click on that, we're given all the topics that are listed in the database. And if we click on these, it will give us more information related to that topic. We have our title list, which I won't click on. That goes to the resources that are used to as sources for this database. Your search history, which this only keeps track of your search history per session. So keep in mind when you log into this database or you click on the link to access it, this will only keep track of your history from when you first accessed the database that day until you click the exit button at the top. Because you are not personally logged in here, this will wipe clean once you log out of the database for the day. And if you come back to it, it will start an entirely new session. We also have our Get Link button here, which provides a permalink to any page that you are on within the database, and our highlights and notes. So we haven't taken any highlights or notes just yet within this database, but if we had, they would be presented on the screen through that link. So if we scroll further down here, we will find those 4 feature categories that we previously discussed: the plan, start, fund, and manage features. So we will go through each of these and discuss them a little bit more so you can see what is actually found within these features. So as a reminder, plan is kind of your starting place. So that is where you go when you're thinking up a business, trying to come up with your business plan, and you're looking for resources to do that. So topics within this category you might be interested in would be budgeting, for example. So if we click on the budgeting tab, it's going to take us to a brief overview of what budgeting means. If we click on the overview, it's going to give us an article that explains more about business budgeting. So the purpose, developing a budget, as well as where this information came from. If we go back here and scroll down further, you'll see many, many different related resources related to budgeting. So you'll see over on the left, there are sample business plans, and these are real, authentic business plans. So I would like to stop it for a moment and say that all the business plans found in this database are from real businesses. So these businesses may still be in business. They may have been planned but never started. They may have started but stopped at some point, all of the small business kind of in-betweens of opening and starting a business. But these are real businesses. So they are real people, real companies at some point created this business plan and it was uploaded to this resource. So you'll find, again, these ones are all have something to do with budgeting. Then over on the right here, we have other recommended resources. Most of these are going to be encyclopedias or different articles related to budgeting, directories, which are kind of like indexes. So it will tell you where other resources can be found that have to do with budgeting, magazines, and journals. And most of these are going to be from industry magazines and journals. So you can see Journal of Accountancy, Management Science, as well as news articles, audio, and websites that have been verified. So this is a great tool to use when starting your business if you're kind of just looking for more information on these different topics. So you can see here, we'll look at one more. We'll take a peek at, let's say, market research for this one. So market research, if you're not familiar with it, is that kind of in-depth look of your industry to see who your competitors are, where your target market is, who that target market is, et cetera, et cetera. So very important in order to be successful in your industry. Again, if we click on the overview article, we get a detailed explanation of what market research is, so characteristics of it, tools that you can utilize, as well as additional resources and articles that we can learn more about what market research is. If we go back here, we'll poke around some of these business plans and we can see how they relate to market research. So if we click on this first one here, Jennifer's Clothing Corner, it's going to take us to that business plan. So as I mentioned, this is a real business plan. We can see that here is the author of that business plan. It was published in 2009. It was found published in the Business Plans Handbook, and that is actually a print resource, or it was a print resource, I believe it still might be, that contains hundreds and hundreds of business plans from authentic businesses that people can research and look at, very similar to this database, to see what others have done and get ideas for their business plan. You can also see how long it is. So this is over 10,000 words, almost 11,000. And if we scroll down here, we can see not only the business plan itself, but the contents. And these are all linked. So if we wanted to jump to specific sections, we are able to do that. So since we're under the topic of market research, let's click on the market analysis. And you can see the market research that was done by this business. And if we go back here, and again, we have other resources, so encyclopedia articles, and we can click on one of these to see what that looks like. So it's an encyclopedia informational article that explains more about what market research is. So it has a little bit of history, the methodological development of market research, as well as different types. So if you're starting your market research and you're not sure kind of what market research to do or where to begin, reading an article like this may be very helpful to figure out, do I want to commit to more exploratory research for market research? Do I want to do more casual research? What that actually means, as well as how to go about the process. So very good information here. And these are all from trustworthy sources. So you can be confident in the information that you're finding here is going to be truthful. right. So those are two of the subjects that we can find under the plan feature. Next, we'll take a look at our next step of START. So again, START is looking at the different business types and structures of small businesses, specifically in the United States. So if you're considering a business that is outside the United States, unfortunately, this might not be the best information for you. We have other resources that may be more helpful. But if you are planning to start and run your business within the United States, this is going to give you some great ideas. So for the first one here, we can click on trending small businesses. So if you've got a business idea or you're thinking about kind of starting one and trying to figure out your structure, we can take a look at this article and see, well, what are the trending small businesses? Where's the business focus going right now? And if we read this article, we'll see that manufacturing is very, very big. Retailing is very big. Wholesaling, service. If we wanted to, we're very interested, say, in wholesaling, we can come over here to the related subjects. And if I click on the wholesale trade, I can find other resources within this database that are related to that. And maybe think, oh, that looks like a very interesting thing. That looks like something that is right up my alley for what I want my small business to be. Let me learn more. And again, very similar to the first plan feature, we are presented with business plans that all have to do with trending small businesses, recommended resources. So these are going to be our kind of descriptive articles from encyclopedias about what that means. If we click on, say, services, we can read more about what is the service industry? What types of businesses are in there? What is the growth perspective of that industry? Right. And then we'll take a look at one more, and let's look at maybe we're considering a minority, veteran, or women-owned business certification. So that is something that makes you very unique as a business owner and does open a lot of opportunities for you. So if we go to this article and click on the overview, we can see what those opportunities might be. If I'm, say, a minority-owned business or a veteran-owned business, as well as what percentage of ownership you would need to be considered a veteran-owned business. So great information for those considering these different types of business structures and certifications. And again, if we scroll down here, we can go to some of these business plans and take a look at, well, what does guessing this is probably a woman-owned business. What does a business plan for someone who is a woman-owned business look like? And I can come in here and see, okay, this is how they framed their business plan. Now, with business plans, keep in mind that while there are recommendations for how to structure your business plan, as well as different components that you want to have, like discussing your summary of your business, how it's going to be structured, the finances, your marketing, advertising, so on and so forth. No two business plans are going to look alike. So there's unfortunately not a one-size-fits-all business plan. It's going to vary depending on what your business is, your industry, personal preferences, what the nature of your business plan is, so how you're going to utilize this. So most business plans are created to receive financing. So if you go to receive financing of some sort from a bank or another lender, you'll need to have a business plan to explain to that lender what your business is and what they are lending money towards. The business plan is also something for you to exactly what the name means, to plan out your business and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do to be successful with my business. So these are all resources in here, these business plans that can give you great ideas for how to structure that business plan to best meet your individual and business needs. Go back here. And we'll take a look at these other two categories and then maybe stop for a break for questions. All right, so our next one up is fund. So remember, fund goes over all of your different financing options. So, I know angel investors and venture capital is in the news quite frequently, as well as popular media. But what is an angel investor? What is venture capital, except, some kind of seemingly glamorous thing? Well, if we come to this article, we can actually read about what it means to be an angel investor, what it means to be a venture capitalist, or to seek venture capital. If we go back here to the page, we can read again more of those articles about what those mean, as well as see different business plans where they had an angel investor or use venture capital. So these ones are quite interesting. This first one here is actually someone who is setting up an angel investor network. So they're not accepting money from an angel investor for their business. They are actually proposing to raise, it looks like $10 million to develop an angel network firm. So it's kind of a very interesting perspective to see what is the mindset of the angel investor. Whereas if we come over to this next one here, the apparel manufacturer TTK Outdoor, if we scroll down here, and we can keep scrolling through the page, or we can take the quick route and just go up to their startup cost, investment and ownership, we can see here how they're planning to fund their business. And you can see that they are planning on using an angel investor, and that investor will provide $200,000 to their company, but they're also gaining a certain percentage of ownership in their company. So it gives you a lot of insight into not only what that word means, but how it's practically applied in the business world. Right. And then we will take a look at the last category here, manage. So manage, again, is where you're really going to focus once you have a business, it's up and running, and you need to keep it up and running. So it's going to deal with your HR issues. It's going to deal with potentially expanding your business, marketing your business, so on and so forth. So if we click here, let's go to expanding as a topic. So expanding your business, we can learn more about, what does expansion mean? Here it gives us our different methods of expansion, as well as the pros and cons of expansion. So sometimes we think, more is better. So we want to grow our business, make it, as big as possible to make as big of a profit as possible. But there are potential negatives to that we might want to consider. And this article is going to explain some of that to us and considerations we want to take before we consider expanding. We can also come here and we can read about different companies and how they've expressed expansion through their business plans. So looks like in their operations, and you can see here they've got their past performance. They've done their market research. They're planning marketing and sales. And then here is their growth strategy for expansion. Right. Any questions with this? We'll go back to our homepage.
We don't have any questions in the chat.
No questions? Okay, thank you. All right. And I will say that these 4 features, so plan, fund, start, and manage, are a great starting place in this database. So if you're not really sure kind of where to start, you have an idea, so or you have an interest. So, your interest is I want to self-fund my business, but I don't really know kind of where to begin. This is kind of the place where you might go to learn more about that through business plans, through articles, encyclopedia, entries, so on and so forth. You are not limited to these 4 categories. So that's where if we come up here, back to our search box, we can actually search for pretty much anything business related we can think of. So we can search for, if I'm looking for funding, I could, if I can spell, I can just simply search funding, and it's going to give me anything and everything that contains that keyword funding. So remember that when I do this basic search up here, it's a keyword search, and it's looking for anywhere where funding is mentioned in the text. So it may have funding somewhere in the business plan. It may have funding somewhere in the title. It does not discriminate for where it finds funding, so long as it shows up somewhere in the results article. So I can go do something like that and search different topics. I can also search different industries. So say I am interested in starting a pet boarding facility. And these will give you different suggestive search terms. You can choose to use them, but you can also choose to just search using your own terms. And if I search that, you'll see it's giving me different business plans related to pet sitting. So if I can see that there are 6 business plans total. And I can simply go in here and let's see, this is searching by the most current, so the newest one. So it looks like there's one from 2024. So let's take a look at that one. So I am thinking about starting a pet boarding, pet sitting business. This one is specific, it looks like, to cats, but that doesn't mean that it's not necessarily related to if I was thinking about doing a bunny sitting business or a dog sitting business. So I can look through here and I can see their executive summary. So what is their business about? Their industry analysis. So they've looked at the big picture of what is the greater need for a pet sitting business. What different organizations are there associated with pet sitting? Their all-important market analysis, and I cannot express how important that market analysis, market research, something called a SWOT analysis, which they did do here, which stands for your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, are to your business. Because that's going to give you a great in-depth look at areas where you can really fit yourself in to fill a need within your community or your industry. So here they've done the big picture. They've looked at the pet boarding market. They've looked at the pet food industry. So they've looked at many, many different things to see where they can fall in to fill a need there and see that, yes, there is a need and there is a piece of the pet sitting pie that they can take. They've also looked at their target markets. So they've looked at different ownerships. You can see here that, millennials seem to be the largest pet owners, followed by Gen X. So that is probably where they are going to focus their marketing for their business. And they've even looked at cat ownership by state. I did not know that Maine was 44% cat owners. Don't know where Texas would fall here, but very interesting, very in-depth look at kind of the big picture. And then they've even looked at, so it looks like they're based in New Hampshire here, at their local markets to see, okay, this is what the local need is, and these are our competitors. They also go in here to look at the different services they plan on offering. So it looks like they have different opportunities for lengths of visits, different levels of service. And they projected, where they expect most of those services to fall in. So they expect most of it to be a 30-minute visit, 60% of their target market, their process, operations, so where they're going to be located. Are they going to have a brick and mortar or are they going to be mobile? Their fees, so how much is it going to cost? It looks like it's $30 for your 30-minute appointment, 45 for your 60, and then overnight visits are 80. They also discuss licensure, training, and personnel. So who do they need to run this business? What type of personnel are they looking at? They've established a 5-year plan for growth. So they're starting out, here in year 1, and then they expect to be somewhere around here for year 5. How they will promote their business through marketing and sales, and financial analysis, which is one of the key points of your business plan. So where they are starting off with, as well as their projections through the next 5 years. And then down here, you can see that SWOT analysis that I was discussing, where they talk about what are their strengths? What makes them unique? Where are their weaknesses? What are things that they know that are potentially going to challenge them? Opportunities. So where's the market that they can fit in as a niche to make themselves unique? And then threats, what possibly could go wrong or might they face that is potentially going to be damaging to their business. So very nicely laid out business plan. If I were to be considering, sorry, I'm going to scroll up here to the top. If I were to be considering starting a pet sitting business, especially cat sitting, I might use this as a foundation. So if this was, something I might consider to base or utilize for my business plan, my bunny sitting business, I might want to save this. So I can come over here and I've got a few different options. I can save it to my Google Drive. I can save it to my Microsoft OneDrive. I can email it to myself. I can download it, or I can print it. I mostly prefer to download it. Sometimes with email or saving it to one of your drives, it doesn't always save correctly. But if you download it, it's going to essentially create a PDF so that you have that document in perpetuity. You also have those options up here at top. So you can download it. It's going to download it again to a PDF. Send it. We'll give you the option to send it to your drives or email, or you can print it or get a link. So again, the link is going to be a permalink. So if I wanted to come back to this document later, I can copy this, save it somewhere safe, and then if I put that in my taskbar, it will take me back to that page. Over here, you do have a few other options for reading this. So if English is not your preferred language, you can choose to translate this into a different language. You can also increase or decrease the text size to make it easier. You can change the background as well to make it easier for you to read. And if you didn't want to read it, you can have someone read it to you by clicking on the listen button. Now, a couple more things I'll mention on this one, and then I will maybe ask if anyone has some different businesses that they want to search in here. But so if you click over here or the Explore tab, you'll see different articles related to this topic. You'll see again those contents related to this or how the business plan is divided, which gives you quick access to those sections. And then most importantly, or at least in my book, are the related subjects. So the related subjects are going to be one of your best friends for when you're trying to find related business plans and articles on topics. So when you're searching in here in the search box, you may not get exactly what you want by searching for your own terms. But once you do find an article that's related to something that you like, take a look at those related subject terms. Those subject terms are going to help you to find more more relevant articles based on the article or business plan that you found that was very helpful. So for this one, I might copy pet boarding facilities, pet industry, and try searching even domestic cats, or domestic bunnies, and try searching by those to see if I get better results. Now, one more thing that I'm going to highlight that I'm sure that you saw in here as I was kind of poking around is the highlight and notes field. So if there is something in here that I find very interesting, I can highlight it and take notes. Let's see, good info. And it will save it in here. If I were to download this, this text would still be highlighted. And then if I also come over here to my highlight and notes, I can see my notes if I click on that tab, and I can see the bibliography, so which article I was talking about, and then a summary of what I highlighted. So, and this is something that you can also download if you would like a copy of it. This is a really great feature that you can utilize to annotate the business plans that you are working through during that session. So again, remember that anything you do in here, anything you save in here is only saved through the session. So while I'm using it until I click the exit button here. Once I click exit, everything wipes clean, kind of like restarting a library computer. The next time we log in, it's going to be a fresh start. All right. So that is my sample. Did anyone have any businesses or industries or topics that they would like to search? Otherwise, I can do a couple of others.
I'm not seeing anything in the chat, but what about something like an Etsy business? So maybe like jewelry making or something?
Yeah, actually, funny you say that. I did have that as one of my samples. Um, so yes, so if I were interested in a jewelry making business, I can go in here and search jewelry making. And I can take a look through these different business plans to see if something catches my eye. So it looks like this one here, sustainable jewelry maker. Okay. Sustainable, it's green. It sounds like a good start for an Etsy business. And I can take a look here and see, what is this business? Is this something that might be helpful to me from the jewelry industry perspective? So I can see they've done their industry analysis. They found different organizations related to jewelry making. And these, I will say, if you do see business plans or articles that mention organizations or any kind of industry professional group, definitely take a look at those websites and those organizations because they may have very helpful resources for you. And this one here, they have other sustainable jewelry industry companies or leaders, as they say. So I might want to go and take a look at like Anna Louisa or um, I'm probably going to mess up the name, Mia Donna, and see, well, what are they making? If they're leaders in the industry, what are they doing that's drawing people to them? I can also see their market analysis and see, okay, the jewelry manufacturing business, wow, they are valued very high. So, okay, there's a lot of people who are investing in that business. And then I can see what different products they're considering, how they're planning their operations, and so forth. Now, if I'm not really finding maybe what I'm looking for, I can also change my search and I can maybe say jewelry and Etsy. So this one we're getting well, how I wrote it, did not give me any business plans, but I did find this article here, How to Sell Jewelry on Etsy. So I might want to read this one and see, okay, looks like it will, if I click on it, it's going to take me outside of this database. Um, but I might be able to kind of see, okay, this is very helpful for starting my Etsy jewelry business. I can also come here to the related search terms and maybe I just want to see, how does someone set up a business plan for an Etsy shop? And I can go in here and get a better idea for that. And again, you can, because every business plan is unique to you, your business, and your industry, you can take, I can take this Etsy shop business plan and I can take the previous one we saw on jewelry making and I can marry them together and create, my own unique business plan that works for my business. Right. Any other topics?
Still not seeing anything in the chat, but if you wanted to look for another one, what about like
Yep.
photography?
Yep. I'm happy to oblige whoever is suggesting. All right, so we can do photography. And again, you can do general photography or there are different types of photography in here if I want to be more specific. I will mention as well that the keyword search, you can treat it like any other library database and use what are called Boolean operators. So that's your and, your or your not. Your and is when you want to combine terms. So if I wanted to, like they're showing here, search for photography and videography businesses, um, if I used and in between, it's going to look for both of those words. So it's going to limit my search because it wants to find business plans and articles where both of those are found. If I did, oops, sorry, if I did or, so I don't know why it's doing that. If I did or videography, just do video for now, that will expand my search because it's going to look for business plans where they mention photography or videography. It does not have to include both of those. I wouldn't worry too much about, I rarely use it myself. That is, that's when you're trying to exclude terms. So it's something like Jaguar, the animal, not Jaguar, the car type of a situation. You will probably never use that one. The ones you'll use most are going to be and or. But anyway, there's that kind of quick little tip. If you're also searching for phrases, I do recommend using quotations because that will force the system to search for that phrase in that exact order instead of searching for photography, services, and they don't have to necessarily be connected. So just my quick search tips. But anyway, going back to photography, got a few more minutes here. All right. So then if we go to photography, we can see all these different business plans that are related to photography. And they looks quite extensive. So this one did get us 72 business plan results. And again, remember, because we are searching for keywords, so this one does look like, let's see here. This one looks like it's probably, because it's a cookbook, they're probably talking about photography in terms of photography for the cookbook. However, this one here is talking about probably someone who's actually taking photos as an underwater photographer. Now, how cool does that job sound? Also a little scary, but I digress. Okay, so if we come in here, we can see again the executive summary, that industry analysis. So that is something, again, you're going to continuously see in these business plans, no matter kind of which industry you're looking at, are those industry analysis, market analysis, your marketing, as well as your financial So and operations. Those are kind of your big ones that you're always going to see in some shape or form. But it is interesting to see how people and businesses interpret those categories. So you can see for this, we're taking photos of consumers. Looks like their target market is mostly going to be probably in that, can even highlight it here, that 24 to 34-ish range. They've even looked at the for their target audience, their household incomes. So largely going to be in that kind of middle area. They've looked at different swim clubs teams that they can potentially partner with. So how they plan their services to be divided. And then tasks that they'll need to follow when doing photography underwater, their operations, where they'll be located. And then this one does list equipment, as well as the cost of the equipment. And that's something very important, especially when you are considering funding and getting financing for your business is, what do you actually need for your business to get started and how much is that going to cost? So some things that we don't maybe always consider enough. We think about the people that we need, but we don't always consider the equipment that we need for that. So supplies and even camera warranties. So they went into the nitty-gritty of their equipment and their cost for that. Their personnel. So it looks like this business is based off of one person, but there will be support for them as well. And then again, they've got their 5-year plan and growth projections. Marketing, sales, so how are they going to garner business? What do their finances look like and they expect them to look like? Financial statements and predictions. And yeah. So some interesting stuff and very useful. And sorry, go down here again, and you can see that we searched by photography, but actually if we search photographers, we may have gotten some more results. And there's even a subject for underwater photography. So currently there is just this one business plan, but there's lots of different journal articles here, it looks like. And this database does update monthly. So even if, this month we only see this one business plan, which is only a couple of years old, based on underwater photography, if we check back in a few months, there may be more. You know, it's just dependent on what businesses are creating those access to those business plans from this database and then getting them to you. So if you don't see you don't see many business plans in the area that or industry that you're looking in, or there's really nothing perfect that you want to utilize for creating your business plan, check back is my best advice, because again, they are always updating. There are more and more business plans in here each month, and there may be something in the future that works for you that there isn't now. All right. Any questions?
The chat is clear of questions.
Okay. Thank you so much. So if there are no further questions, we've kind of gotten a good idea of how Gale Business Entrepreneurship, apologies, looks and functions. So we will head back to if I can figure out how, presentation. All right. And Nikki, can you see the screen okay?
Yes, we're back on the PowerPoint.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So with that, we will then start finishing up our class for today. So I would like to mention that outside of the Gale Business Entrepreneurship Database, there are several other resources available through the Plano Public Library system. So if you have questions about starting a business, doing your market research, or you just need help with some sort of research aspect, we do offer a Book a Librarian or Ask a Librarian option. So I believe it is now referred to as Ask PPL. So apologies for this dated title here, but you still have the option to email us your question or book a 30-minute one-on-one session with the Plano Public Librarian who can go through your different research needs with you. Again, we do offer mentoring with Dallas Score mentors at the Schimmelfinnig and Parr libraries. Those are by appointment only. So please do visit the Plano Public Library website or Dallas Score website in order to schedule a time with a mentor. There's also our adult nonfiction collection, and in the 658 section, you will find different books on the business plan topic. The Plano Public Library YouTube channel has access to all of our virtual programs. So this program, as well as many other programs that we've done on market research, choosing a platform to work with your business, anything that you can think of that we have done a program on virtually is going to be found on the Plano Public Library YouTube channel. And then the Plano Public Library does offer several other business databases that you might find helpful. So LinkedIn Learning and Udemy are two skills-based resources that offer different tutorials that you can go through at your own pace to learn many different skills. So you can learn technical skills like Microsoft products or soft skills as well, and kind of everything in between. We also have our Gale One File Business, and that's where you'll find a plethora of different business articles on many different topics. And Reference Solutions is a database that is highly recommended for doing your market research. We do have classes on that you can find on the Plano Public Library's YouTube channel, as well as some coming up later in the year, where you can learn more about this database and how to utilize it for market research. Finally, I would like to mention some upcoming programs that we have. As previously mentioned, we do offer score mentoring by appointment at the Schimmelfinnig Library, and that's on Thursdays, as well as the Parr Library on Wednesdays, and those are both free of charge with a certified Dallas Score mentor. There's also the Launch Your Business with Customer-Focused Marketing, and that's a Grow with Google program coming up on September 10th, so tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m., and that is a virtual. We have Understanding Your Financial Statements coming up on Thursday, September 18th at 6:30, and that will be a hybrid program available at the Haggard Library or virtually. And there is your selling products through online scores coming up on September 27th at 3 p.m. and that is in person at the Parr Library. And lastly, we have our Team Up for Entrepreneurial Success or TOOS program, which is a partner program with Dallas Score, where we meet monthly on Tuesday nights at 6:30 p.m. at the Haggard Library to talk about different topics related to small businesses and entrepreneurs. Our next session will be September 30th at 6:30 p.m. at the Haggard Library, and the topic is legal matters. And with that, that brings us to the end of our program. Are there any questions?
The chat is clear of questions.
Thank you. Well, if there are no questions now, I do have my contact information on the screen, so please feel free to reach out to me if anything does come up. Otherwise, thank you so much for attending this program. We very much appreciate your attendance with us this evening, and we hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you so much.